Welcome to the Football Chris Show, where my name fits conveniently in the initials.
That was a disgusting performance.
On this show, we cover the hottest topics around the FCS each and every week.
Yeah, it's my job to get them ready. I'm running around like trying to get them jacked up.
If you could do us a favor, if you're listening in podcast form, could you please leave us a 5-star rating?
I don't know. I don't have an answer for you, bud.
I think in general it was a pretty uninspired day.
If you're watching on YouTube and Sam Herder hates your team, leave us a like and smash the subscribe button.
If you call Nick, you know you'll get cussed out on the spot. So don't do that. Treat me like Nick.
Oh, and one last thing before you enjoy the show.
One last thing, Will. Tell them to bring me my money.
This show is an affiliate show of FCS Fans Nation Network.
I mean, I'm going to be as frank as I can be. I'm glad it's over.
Welcome back to another episode. Today we're going to be trying to wrap this West Coast B-Brain around the Big South. This was a listener/watcher suggestion, I believe, on the Facebook page, so I apologize if you comment on this. I'll pin it to you if you want your comment or your conference preview. Hit it down below. So this is why I started these whole preview series. This is the Football Chris Show. I'm going to try to do daily content to preview it. Is to learn more and more about the FCS. Because though I've been doing this for almost 5 years now, there's still so much stuff I don't know. For instance, I just did a SoCon preview or Campbell moving conferences episode. Click. And I talked about how the OVC and the Big South should probably look at doing some kind of merge or something. They are. Talk about not knowing things until you know them. I'm watching the Big South Media Day as suggested by one of the listeners, and I find out that these two conferences are actually joining forces. And that's why I enjoy this. So I hope I can teach you guys a little bit about it. I'm going to think about moving state of the conference till later in these previews, but today we're going to keep it because there is so much to talk about these two conferences in particular. And it's also the first preview I'm doing without a co-host. So a lot of me talking to you, FCS. I don't even know. I was going to say Colin Cowherd, but that's definitely Matthew Frazee. Just the guy who's going to ramble into a camera with a microphone in his spare bedroom, which goes to show that I don't know anything. If I'm wrong, let me know about stuff in the FCS. State of the conference, I'm just going to say, man, this is what's kind of sad about college realignment is you have two amazing leaders just watching these two talk. Kyle Calander has been the commissioner of the Big South since 1996. They started football in 2002. He's been a huge part of all of it. And then Beth, something with a B, I believe, didn't write hers down because, like I said, I learned about this while trying to film this preview so I could get it out tomorrow. I'm learning that both conferences are basically the same conference starting next season. So I apologize, Beth. It sounds like she's going to be the commissioner. I need to remember going forward. So I'll make it up to you next year, Beth. But it was crazy hearing them kind of talk about this merger and being asked, like, you know, the ASUN and the WAC have this alliance going, a scheduling alliance. Why don't you do that? And they talked about, like, well, an alliance isn't really anything. I mean, look what happened with the Big Ten and the Pac-12, right? What they thought is a full-blown merger was more important to the health of their individual conferences than any one thing they could have done on their own, which is why you got to the case where you are, where the two conferences are merging and have 10 members starting the 2023 season. But that does leave us with a 2022 season, which we need to preview, where they're kind of scheduling, but also not really full-blown members, but they will be next year. All I want to say is both of these commissioners will do a great job leading this conference. It sounds like it's going to Bethany. She's been doing it longer. Or no, she's 2009. Calander's been doing it longer since 96. But it also goes to show that when I'm going through this, I try to do some quick, crash course sessions on the Ohio Valley. Y'all's stuff is so hard to find. You're like the SoCon, but even worse on being able to find information on. So, like, new conference, I know you've probably been busy with this whole merger thing. Come on, a little social media presence, guys. I'm going to start a company that is just social media, like consulting for the FCS level. Because, like, holy crap, some of these conferences, call me spoiled, being a Big Sky guy, but some of these conferences, man, I tell you, like, what is going on? You guys can't have any college interns with any sort of graphic design, anything? Like, man, She's wild to me. I mean, the Ohio Valley had like a Facebook clip for 7 seconds about adding Lindenwood. I found that, but nothing about your preseason polls. Don't even know. All I know is Lindenwood was picked last because Lindenwood is posting it. Make your stuff easy to find. So there's already so little coverage at the FCS level. For those of us that are trying to cover it, trying to get the Big South, well, not the Big South, the Ohio Valley, it's due. Come on, just make it a little easier. Anyways, I'm off my soapbox. Let's talk about the conference and help the conference going forward. One of the things that was really well touched on with, and I'm going to start, like I kind of alluded to there, with the Big South, because I kind of learned I need to rope the Ohio Valley in, like, while watching Media Day, which also clap to you guys. I know I just roasted you, at least the Big South. Your Media Day felt professional. It felt good. I got a lot of information from it, unlike the ASUN. ASUN, you stole a bunch of teams from these two conferences, and their Media Day is still better than yours. Like, ASUN, step it up. Anyways, so I appreciate the Big South for that. And the Ohio Valley had clips of a lot of their coaches and everything available on YouTube and on their website. The Big South was on YouTube and ESPN Plus. YouTube was broken down. So, like, at least that part of it you guys get. So you get a round of applause when it's due. But listening to them kind of talk about the Big South has had its last 4 football champions leave the conference. So if you're going back, they started football in 2002, as we mentioned. The last current member to win it was Charleston Southern back in 2016 when they tied former member Liberty. Before that was Charleston Southern. Then you get a lot of Liberty, a lot of Coastal Carolina. Stony Brook won a couple of them before moving to the CAA, which seems popular. Really, actually, Gardner-Webb and Charleston Southern are the only 2 members in the current Big South to have ever won a conference championship. And for Gardner-Webb, you're going back to 2003 and 2002. They won 2 of them. And Charleston Southern has won two of them. Man. But I will say I like the Big South. Commissioner Calander actually tweeted at me once. We were doing a FCS FBS comparison episode of my former affiliate I was working with for the Idaho Vandals, and he commented, because I made the mistake saying Coastal Carolina was a former SoCon member. He was quick to remind me that Coastal Carolina was a Big South member. So I've always liked him for that. He obviously has a social media presence. I'm not sure why. Well, the Big South didn't have terrible. It's more the Ohio Valley that was like, I get why Jackson State and such teams are leaving. I'll put it that way. Leadership seems great, but like, do some marketing. It's like, do they have no schools that can tell them the importance of marketing? And we're a YouTube show. I feel like we do a better job of marketing how dumb we are. And sitting there talking about your schools that are doing zero to help us. Anyways, I'm just on a rant because these were supposed to be easy, and I'm happy someone suggested it. But some of these conferences make it very hard to be able to turn something around in a day. That's all I'm saying. Make my life easier, please, conference commissioners. The big one is Bryant is coming into the conference. Obviously, NCAA&T is back in the conference after they've been kind of the, a team that's been looking for a chance. They're in the MEAC to get out and have an opportunity to be a playoff contender. They're kind of what Jackson State has become. They were the HBCU that had higher aspirations. I won't say higher aspirations. They had a want to participate in the FCS playoffs, and so they took a route that allowed them to play in the FCS playoffs. That's a better way to phrase that for sure. They were picked in the coaches poll to finish first. This is weird because it doesn't make sense, really. There's 6 coaches, but there's 8, 10, 11 votes. So maybe this is a media poll. Again, if you got a media poll, why not just do a coaches poll? But these conferences are merging. A lot of better ideas ahead, I can tell already. North Carolina A&T got 6 of the votes. Next up was Campbell, which we have a whole freaking video. I already plugged it once about Campbell leaving next year to join the CAA. They are in second. Tied for third, you have Charleston Southern, who received 2 votes as well for first place, tying Campbell. And then you also have Gardner-Webb, who's got 1 vote for first place. Now obviously tied for third with Charleston Southern. Then you have Bryant, the newbie, expected to win the conference off the bat. They got one first place vote, but they're in 5th place in the poll. So either the Bryant SID or whoever is covering Bryant, just wow. Robert Morris comes in at 6th with 21 points, or voting statistics, whatever it is. And no, they're the only. Robert Morris is the only school in the Big South to not receive a first place vote in their poll. Oh, I know who I'm pulling for in the Big South. You get him, Robert Morris. You've got a fan of me now. I am the natural underdog. So I was actually excited when the Big South got suggested because, you know what? That's a conference where I only really know Kennesaw State and Monmouth, and I know NCNT is in it now. So I was excited. Gardner-Webb almost made my cut or did make my cut for surprise teams to watch next year. This is just an opportunity for me to understand this conference better, and hopefully you guys at home the same, except for you Big South fans that are like, this guy is an idiot who doesn't know what he's talking about. You're not incorrect. Real quick, I want to do because they didn't do a coaches poll, they just did a media poll. I want to do a buy, sell, high, low ranking kind of deal of the current coaches because this conference is a little bit wild in the coaching ranks. You got no newbies this year. In fact, you don't have really anybody that's even remotely considered green behind the ear, I believe is the phrase. Greenhorn. I think they say you're a little green behind the ear, but whatever. No rookie coaches per se. There's a lot of coaching heavyweights in this conference, starting with Sam Washington, obviously the coach of North Carolina A&T. Bring me my money. You already saw it in the intro. That guy, love that man. Coach, thank you for letting me use that clip and not hitting us with a copyright strike. North Carolina A&T, he's entering his. That is not right. He's not in his 5th season. Or maybe he is. He is 24-11. That's a dang good record. Because as we talked about, this conference is wide freaking open. So basically everyone that's ever won the conference championship ever is gone. And then the one team who's in the 2 teams who have won it are tied for 3rd. So out of 6. So they're middle of the pack teams, essentially. 24-11. Mike Minter, he is the coach of the Campbell Camels, entering his 10th season, 39-54. I know Campbell is a building project. I covered it in the Campbell video. But man, 10 seasons with a losing record. I admire teams that stick around with people for that long. But it's a bit crazy to me. He played for the Panthers. He's an NFL guy. Coached at some high school. There's a Liberty special teams coordinator before he got the job in 2013 at Campbell. So not a very extensive coaching resume until he hit the floor with the old Aggies. But I'm putting Camels, not the Aggies. Sam Washington was the Aggies. Mike Minter with the Camels. But I mean, he's turned that program into a team that the CAA thinks they need to go chasing after to be able to stay relevant. Trying to, I guess, be the FCS Super Conference. I'm not really sure. Chris Merritt. I'm doing these in the rankings of obviously how I view them as coaches. So I just bagged on him for having almost, was that a 15 game difference, more losses than wins in 10 seasons. Wild. But Chris Merritt is the 4th-year head coach for Bryant. He is 13-14, so I put him right there in the middle. Also, we have Autry Denson, Charleston Southern, entering his 4th season, 12-14, one less win. Damn you, COVID, giving Bryant an extra opportunity to get a win. Bernard Clark, Robert Morris is in his 5th season, 13-23, hot seat alert. Robert Morris, I already admitted I'm pulling for you, but your coach is in his 5th season, and he's 13-23. I mean, Robert Morris fans have got to be he's got to have a 5th 5-year contract. That has to be what it is. I'm gonna look this up real quick. Bernard Clark took Robert Morris to a 7-5 record and a 2nd place finish in the NEC in 2019. My guess is he signed a contract extension then, because since then he's gone 0-3 and 4. And you know what? When you look at it, the dang COVID season is what throws everything off. Yes, he went 0-3, but it was COVID. First year 2-9, not great, but then 7-5. COVID, you give them a pass. 4-6 from a team that was 2-9 when we first started and isn't traditionally a power. Okay, I get it. I still think the Colonials, which is very confusing, it's not the Colonels, the Colonials, should have I don't want to. I might retract my hot seat. No, I'm not. Sorry, 13-12. When you see it on paper, if he enters his sixth season at like 16-30, you've got to fire that man, right? I don't know. That's a decision for the Robert Morris athletic director, not me. Trey Lamb rounding it down with Gardner-Webb, third season, 6-9. A program that I really, really like. I've been rooting for Gardner-Webb since coming back to the FCS. I think it's a cool program. I like their logo. I think they have some outstanding players. If you just look up some of their highlights online, they have some of the most electric players in the entire country. They just can't put it together as a team. Put together while they're tied for third in the coaches poll ahead of the newbie and the team whose coach is 13-23 and are entering his fifth season. So Trey Lamb, I put at the bottom. He's 6-9. He's not a terrible record entering his third season. I have higher hope for Gardner-Webb. So Trey, prove it wrong. You could easily move up this rank. I mean, you win the conference this year. There's chatters that you could be first. I mean, NCAA's got saying Washington might have you beat there, but that's my coaching rankings there of the Big South. Moving into the actual All-American or the All-Conference teams, your preseason offensive player of the year was Nareel. Your preseason offensive player of the year was Nareel Gaither. Senior running back for Gardner-Webb. What I freaking tell you, Gardner-Webb has all the stars. Preseason defensive player of the year was Brevin Allen, who is a redshirt senior defensive lineman from the Campbell Camels. And this will be airing, oh my gosh, back-to-back Camel Hump Day videos, because this is being recorded on Tuesday, but will be released on Wednesday. So, nice. Anyways, those are your defensive players of the year. Now we're talking national awards real quick. Pause. We haven't done this in a video yet, but we're doing it. Your Buchanan watch list members from the Big South. You have Brevin Allen Campbell. He's a senior, which we just talked about. He's the defensive player of the year, but he's also sharing it with Ty French from, you guessed it, junior at Gardner-Webb. Gardner-Webb, baby. I'm telling you, might be a surprise team this year too. Mental note. Watch that episode when it comes out. If it's already out, hopefully I came back and plugged it right there. Then your Walter Payton watch is the Nareel Gaither from Gardner-Webb. So you got back-to-back Gardner-Webb guys on the watch list. Going through your all-conference teams, I mean, a lot of upperclassmen. You got a couple sophomores, wide receiver, Gardner-Webb, Justin Franklin, Jamison Warren at NCAA. But the most important part here is we're looking at who's actually going to be best, right? Like, all these players deserve it. But Gardner-Webb has 10 all SoCon all Big South conference team members in the preseason. Campbell has 9. The Aggies of North Carolina A&T have 8. Robert Morris has 5. Charleston Southern has 4, and Bryant has 3. Gardner-Webb, to be fair, has the kick returner and punter. Wait. They do 2 of those? They did 2. Because Campbell also has the punter, the kick returner, the punt returner, and the long snapper. So, and the kick returner and punt returner is the same guy. So Campbell actually only has, like, I'm going to give them 8. I'm going to count the same guy twice. So Gardner-Webb, ooh, sneaky. For those of you that watch, which I'm going to be honest with myself, and all you Big South fans that are probably out there watching, it's probably not going to be my most watched video, but I'm here for the people because Big South is just one of those conferences that is in a limbo. But this is hopefully for the people that do watch it, why this can be an exciting conference and why I was excited to take more of a deep dive into it and have a reason to, other than just like wanting to know, but like having to not sound like a complete idiot. I think Gardner-Webb could be a team this year. I mean, you look at, all right, now I'm going through these all-season teams. I'm just going to pump Gardner-Webb real quick. You have Nareel Gaither, the running back, who's also considered the best offensive weapon in the entire freaking Big South. Then you also follow it up with Justin Franklin, a young wide receiver. You also have Clayton. So you got 2 guys on the line. You got 2 offensive linemen. They're going to be able to block for that running back, and then hopefully enough time for the quarterback to be able to get open for Justin Franklin to get open. Defensive line, you got one guy on the all-conference team, Ty French Jr. He's going to be getting after guys, only a junior. You got William McRaney, who's a junior linebacker on the team. You've got a junior defensive back, Jamari Brown, on the team. And then, like I mentioned, you've got a couple guys making it. Punter, who's a redshirt senior, and the kick returner, who's a redshirt senior. So maybe Gardner-Webb is a better pick for next year. A lot of juniors. But I think they'll make damage this year. I would pick them at the – what were they? They're tied for second, tied for third? Tied for third with Charleston Southern. Charleston Southern had 4 all-conference team players. A defensive lineman, Antoine Williams, who's a grad student, so he's out of here. Hope he's not focused on school or anything this year, because you guys are screwed. That can't be Harambe, right? Hombre? I think it's just Hombre. Hombre Kennedy, grad student. Also, Garrett Salih, grad student. So, okay. Charleston Southern's Caden Jordan is the only underclassman on this roster. I bet you these grad students, without looking, because like I said, West Coast dumb brain, trying to understand the Big South. My guess here is you get to watch me do math live. It's exciting, I know. These guys are all COVID seniors too. I bet you these guys are on their, like, Hombre Kennedy is probably on like his 6th or 7th year of eligibility, which is good. I mean, Charleston is probably why Charleston was ranked so high, because they do have a lot of senior experience that obviously are operating on an all-conference level. However, I think you look at Gardner-Webb, who has a lot of those juniors and a sophomore on this team. I'm taking Webb. Maybe not. I get why they're maybe tied this year, but I think in the future these two teams could be the powerhouses of the future Big South. Anyways, that's kind of what I've got for you guys in the Big South. I think the Big South is going to be one of those conferences that's going to be super interesting to pay attention to, especially because it's wide open. And I believe with the scheduling lines, they are qualified to get a conference champion, just like the ASUN and WAC, into the FCS playoffs. Who that will be? Probably NCA&T, which I think we can all – this is maybe the biggest tragedy of this entire episode, is how much I blew off NCA&T. And it might be because they look just head and shoulders better than everybody else in this conference, especially now that Kennesaw and Monmouth are gone. But we could be wrong. We could see what, them getting adjusted, well, they've been adjusted, but them being in the system another year and dealing with some new teams like Bryant coming in and some experienced teams like Charleston Southern and an upstart team like Gardner-Webb, what the Aggies are able to do. But that it is funny seeing that, like, basically everyone that's there's only 4 conference championships currently residing in the Big South. All the others are ASUN, CAA, FBS, and what are they? They're in the Conference USA now. Where the hell did Liberty go? I think it's Conference USA. Anyways, you get the point. A conference that birthed Coastal Carolina from being basically the sweetheart of 2 seasons ago in the FBS is a conference that deserves a lot of respect. I know I promised an Ohio Valley in here, but I feel like I'd be cheating you guys because I need to find more information on the Ohio Valley. So claps to the Big South. Thank you. But here's the deal down below. The Big South and the Ohio Valley announced that they are taking suggestions, not officially, but they did say it on Media Day, that they're taking suggestions for a team name. What would you name the new merger of this conference? Comment down below. Like this video if you think Gardner-Webb is tight, or if I screwed up any of the facts about any of these teams. Throw it a like, because it'll show YouTube that I want to poke you in the eye with my thumb. That's what that means, I promise. Anyways, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Hey, thank you guys so much for making it to the end of this video. Us here at FCS Fans Nation Network are pushing 1,000 subscribers on the YouTube page. We really want to get there. If you've made it this far, you might as well hit the subscribe button in the middle of the screen or down below. We would really appreciate it. And while you're at it, there's a couple other videos up on the screen. Might as well give them a listen too. You don't know who else on the network you'll like.